So I want to talk about, in this lesson, self-medicating. So the term self-medicate, it's funny because I had a lady give a comment in our group, the Freedom Model group, and she was discussing pain, getting rid of pain through drinking alcohol. And she said she understands that alcohol doesn't change the content of her thoughts. She had debunked a lot of the mental and emotional ideas about alcohol, the indoctrination by the booze companies that it's this magical elixir. She got rid of all that, and now she only has a little bit of alcohol to resolve some of her joint pain. And she asked me, does it actually do that? The physical part. And I said, well, there's yes, it can in certain people. I mean, that's what people report, but it's fairly subjective. But if you find that it takes away your joint pain and you want to have a couple of pops, then so be it. I don't have a dog in that fight. I respect people's autonomy. And if they think that the drug does that physically, and many people report that it does, that it's a type of anesthetic, fine, But then somebody piped in and said, so you're advocating for self-medicating. I said, well, self-medicating, when we talk about self-medicating, I suppose if we're talking about alcohol having a physical effect on the body and the person takes it for that physical effect, it's one of the things that I always tell people, the physical effects are real. Whether it's going to be pain relief, if you interpret it as pain relief, or you interpret it as you like the sensation of being dizzy, hot, and whatever else it physically does to you, make you dizzy and uncoordinated, obviously, and unable to drive, that sort of thing. If you're attracted to that sensation, that's probably the only sort of observable, objective thing you can say about alcohol, that it does those things. And I think we all agree on that. That's pretty obvious. It's self-evident. Drink enough beer and you're not going to be able to walk. Now, so if we're talking about self-medicating for physical effects, I suppose that could be seen as a medication. If it's for pain relief, I suppose that can be seen as a medication. I didn't really have an opinion on it. I said if it affects you that way, it doesn't really affect me as a pain reliever. It never has. Makes me a little bit numb maybe, but it gives me a lot of pain too because it's sugary, right? The properties of it. So I said that's up to you. And I didn't say yes or no. Do what you want if you enjoy it. So this lady, but the problem is that the lady was very confused about what she meant by self-medicating. And she was implying that I was advocating for emotional relief and things like that. She didn't make a distinction between the physical and the mental and emotional realm, the metaphysical realm of our mind. And so I had to explain to her that self-medicating for escapism is something the drug can't do, right? It doesn't have the capacity to come into our mind, know what stressful thoughts we have, and eliminate them, for example, and cause that to happen. And that nuance is very important. That's what chapters 17 through 21 are all about, is getting rid of that idea that alcohol relieves stress, takes away anxiety, gives us a license to misbehave, and changes mood, and does all these miraculous things to the human psyche, right? Not the physical, but to the psyche, the things that the metaphysical realm, the mind, the thoughts, behaviors, right? Ideas. So do I believe that you can self-medicate your troubles away in your mind? No, I think that you do it, and you may use alcohol, the physical buzz, as a sort of distraction, but it's still you deciding to do that and then manifesting that with your own mind. And the other thing is, I don't believe it to be a medication for mental stress. It doesn't have the capacity to know what stress is, for example. So the only one that has the capacity to know what your stresses are is your mind. So you're playing a game with yourself there. You're using alcohol as an active placebo or a distraction to escape. You're just distracting yourself. You could distract yourself by riding a bicycle or looking at a pretty woman or a good-looking guy or or sit at your desk and be distracted with work, for that matter. It's only when we start to mix up these terms as if it is some sort of mental or emotional medication. And I'm suspect of just about all, even antidepressants and things like that when you look at the research, but that's a topic for a different discussion. But does booze, can you self-medicate your troubles away? No, that's you. Alcohol doesn't have the capacity to do that. So I just want to say that, but if you feel that you get numb and it takes care of pain, and when you sober up, there's not any increase in pain, then there's a net win for you to drink alcohol in moderated amounts. Why would I care? You know? But even that is a little bit subjective because there are lots of people that don't report any pain relieving qualities. So it's not the sort of thing like an opiate where you actually deaden the pain, right? An agonist. So I think it's really important to parse out what we mean by these terms when we go forward. But do I believe that alcohol or any drug has the capacity for you to self-medicate your human troubles away, whatever they are and however they manifest in your mind? No, they don't have the capacity to do that. They never will. They never have. Not once, not ever. That's you playing a game with yourself using a distraction of the physical buzz. All right? So I hope that helps parse out this whole idea of self-medicating.